We live in a funny world. A couple of funny boys, right? We make jokes sometimes.
Okay, that I'll agree with.
There's 3 of us. That's more than a couple.
Well, I guess that's that's a good joke. Good one,
That was
Jesse.
funny.
It's me, Brandon,
I'm Jesse.
I'm Frank.
and we're here today on the Chronic Canon talking about movies and smoking some movies while also talking about weed.
We're smoking movies and we're talking weed.
There it is.
And we're live in our ears, but not in yours.
No.
And if you don't like heat, get the hell out of here.
Just
What are you
get
doing
out.
here? You should know
Just
this
get
by
out.
now. Unless you're a first-time listener, and in that case, welcome.
And if you've never seen Heat, that's fine. It's just if you actively dislike it, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
I hate the bits.
I love the bits.
I
Here's
know they're the
thing.
best part.
The bits gotta stay.
Bits are funny and bits are comical. And I want to talk about the state.
Do we want to talk about the hierarchy of comedy?
No, I want to talk about the state of comedy right now.
Oh, I thought
Just,
we were going up the
you know,
ranks.
our-
Like Prince, Queen, King.
Prince?
Of
Oh,
Of
okay.
comedy.
like the musicians.
I wrote
I was
an
like,
entire
Prince?
hour set. I've been rehearsing. I've been going to clubs. I've
Prince
been
isn't
prepping
that
for this
funny.
podcast.
Start. Then do your
Uh,
bit.
Go.
My name is Rupert Pupkin. I was born and raised in Clifton, New Jersey. Anybody here from Clifton? Oh, no. Well, then we
Boo.
can all relax now. That's a line from the King
That
of
is good.
Comedy.
It was a great line from the King of Comedy. And our main man, Tom Hooper, I want to say.
Are we doing cats again?
No, okay, not Tom Hooper. Who's the other guy whose name is Tom?
Tom.
Who directed The Hangover?
Todd
Phillips.
You know what? Okay, mistake.
Yeah,
My
fine.
main man, Todd Phillips. Not my main man. I'm sorry. The podcast main man.
No.
We loved.
No, you will not defame Jesse and I.
All right.
Wait,
so-
what? How did he do that? I wasn't paying attention.
What the hell, man? We
You
just
can't
started.
not pay attention. That's
I
this
lost
whole
it for a
thing.
second.
I was saying Todd Phillips is our main man.
Oh, absolutely not. Do not speak for me.
Sorry, everyone who had to hear that twice. Anyways, he recently spoke on the current state of comedy, saying that it was too woke now and that you just can't.
Essentially, yeah.
You can't be funny anymore. You can't
Mhm.
make good jokes because jokes are meant to be offensive to one group or party in some way or another. And I guess what I wanted to know from you gentlemen is that if you think that it's impossible to be funny without getting somebody offended, if you think that is an essential part of comedy,
Do I think it's essential to offend someone?
like, do you think that there is no way to be funny without, in some way, shape, or form, being offensive? Because the thing that is funny is like making commentary on things.
When you phrase it like that, I am almost reticent to say no. Well, yes? I forget how you phrased the question. Where you almost have to be offensive to something. Isn't that a whole bit in Birbiglia's Thank God for Jokes? His whole special where he's like, jokes have to be about something.
Well, no, everybody has to be open field, basically. Is that kind of what he meant?
No, I think it's more just like at the end of the day, to be a joke, it's encounter to the reality of something.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a person or group of people, but that's after he does the whole joke about the peanut allergy. And he's like, when I tell that joke, 997 of us are laughing, but the 3 people with a peanut allergy are like, that's my life. So how do I think about that when telling that joke? Like, I probably am going to hurt somebody in this audience's feelings, but I'm still telling the joke because I understand how it's humorous in the situation and with the other 997 people to consider. And that is a good argument for that particular case. But
Yes.
then that leads down the slippery slope of what's okay and what's not. I think the phrase punching down is a good one to look at because that's when I don't think it's funny. And that's when it becomes unnecessary. When it's like malicious.
Ironically, it's not my thought, but a fellow podcaster, shout out Mark Maron. Also,
Love you, buddy.
Yeah,
Only a podcast.
we
by the
do
way.
love Mark Maron here on the Chronic Canon.
We're best friends with him.
Yeah, he's our homeboy.
He
He's
just
here.
left.
Yeah.
he was here.
Yeah. Mark Maron was here.
So he had some thoughts on Todd Phillips' comments, given that he starred in Joker. This is
Isn't he in like one
Okay.
scene?
Start.
I say starred as in he's in it.
Okay, well, he's in it. He didn't star.
Okay, fine. If we're talking from that
If
perspective.
you want to get into semantics.
When you think of a bill, you say starring, da-da-da-da-da, and you run down the list of everybody
Yeah,
who's
but
in it.
usually stop at like a
Okay.
certain level of importance.
If you're talking about the poster, not the IMDb,
Yeah.
they run down the entire list.
My point is,
You
Starting with the word starring.
The only reason I even brought that up is even if Joaquin disagreed, I'm sure he would never turn against Todd Phillips.
No, probably not.
Because he's the star of the movie,
Yeah,
and
I
that would
guess.
discredit the movie.
I guess that's
Mark
true.
Maron is so inconsequential. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. It doesn't matter.
That's true, but
That's
regardless,
why I said
he
it.
still said it. All right. I thought I'd read the quote. There's plenty of people being funny right now. Not only being funny, but being really fucking funny. There are still lines to be rode. If you like to ride a line, you can still ride a line. If you want to take chances, you can still take chances. Really, the only thing that's off the table culturally at this juncture, and not even entirely, is shamelessly punching down for the sheer joy of hurting people, for the sheer excitement and laughter that some people get from causing people pain, from making people uncomfortable, from making people feel excluded. You know, that excitement. And I think that's right on the money. And Frank basically, in his own way, said that.
I
So
probably picked it up from that quote, to be completely honest.
But yeah.
Lots of ways to be funny, not in any realm of that. Just observe, I don't know. Nathan Fielder's funny.
Nathan Fielder is funny. And I think about that all the time, that the people that he uses like are at the expense of his crap. But he addresses that on the show like quite often.
I also think it's about specifically with Nathan Fielder, it's about like an opportunity. Like anybody who doesn't want to be on that show
It doesn't have to be. Yeah.
And if
They
ever
sign away waivers.
if they're in the middle of it and they're like, this, I don't want to do this, they don't have to
Yeah, I know there are plenty of people in this world who just want to be famous, and they will do whatever it takes.
do anything just to be on camera for a little bit.
Doesn't matter how embarrassing it might be to the general public.
Doesn't matter how psychopathic you might look later.
I feel like we're actually leaning heavier and heavier towards today's subject matter, huh?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to. Was it better to be king for a day or a schmuck for life?
Yeah, smoke for a lifetime.
Fuck.
Yeah, we gotta be on that.
That's a quote from Rupert Pupkin.
Yes.
Not
King of comedy.
Pumpkin.
The aforementioned king of comedy.
King of comedy. Actually, in Googling that, I discovered that might have been a nickname for Jerry Lewis. I don't know if it was before or after this movie, but I think he at some point got dubbed the king of comedy. I wouldn't be surprised if it came after the film, because he had like a biography years later named that, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Well, I wonder if that had to do with the reason why it was named the king of comedy, just for his involvement
I
in the
want to
movie.
know which one came first, and I don't feel like doing more Googling.
It's interesting, I think, that Scorsese at this point in his career had just come off the heels of Raging Bull, the movie that sort of resurrected him from what would have been the ashes of his career had he not become a phoenix and created what many would call his magnum opus.
Did we discuss the fact that his plan was to only make documentaries after Raging Bull?
Yeah, well, I was about to get into that. So
I had no
that
clue.
He was like, I'm going to retire from feature films. Now, I don't think like the same mentality as, say, someone like Elim Klimov, who did Come and See. When he made that film, he said, I'm done because I think that's the best thing I could ever
He said,
make.
I have nothing more to say.
Yeah, it's almost like I got nothing more to contribute.
Or Tarantino, who wants to control his legacy and say, I'm done at a nice, clean 10.
Yeah, but I think with this kid on the way, that's changing. Let's see if he goes down the Robert Rodriguez route and start making his own Spy Kids movies or his own version. Kids
surprised.
movies a la Tarantino, a Hugo movie a la Tarantino.
You guys, he's already created a perfect loophole for himself. All he has to do is make sequels and prequels and trequels to all of his movies.
I mean, I
And then
think
just say,
with Once
"That
Upon a
don't
Time
count."
in Hollywood, he has basically canonized his entire filmography as being in the same universe. So
The commercial.
he's franchised himself.
There's a commercial.
The goddamn dude might be a genius, like commercially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the scope of creating a career.
Yeah. Like as a businessman director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He's like the Kiss of movies.
honestly,
Beth,
Kinda.
Because I don't like Gene Simmons that much either as a person, but
But I can't go home right now.
Black Diamond.
You want to know what's fucked up? Is I only heard that song because of Role Models, and
Wait, are we gonna get in trouble for singing Kiss songs? Cold gin time again.
no, I think if you do it within a short amount of time, you're good.
I thought it was if you played the song. We're not even allowed to sing.
Usually
No.
not.
That,
Technically, every time somebody plays a cover at a bar, the bar legally is supposed to be paying the band.
Yeah.
It's like you're not allowed to just cover people's songs, but that nobody cares because the world would collapse over cover bands.
it'd make band like regular bands make a lot more money.
Yeah.
which they usually don't need. If
Okay.
you're getting played,
It's weird. I don't know where the money from being a musician has to come from, like the sponsorships and shit you get. Because the actual contract, you don't get a whole lot.
when you get a certain level of famous, this goes for all levels of fame, film people, actors, whatever. Most public appearances you make, you're getting paid to make it. People want you there because you will bring audience. Like just seeing someone on a podcast, or not always, but a lot of the times, like,
Seeing
those people
someone
are
on a podcast.
hearing someone, whatever.
Okay, just had to make the distinction.
Some people film their podcasts.
It's a dud distinction.
And good thing this is a podcast,
Yes, absolutely.
baby. I don't know. King comedy. I don't
Yeah. So Martin
Oh, yeah.
Scorsese makes Raging Bull, decides that he might want to end his career there as far as narrative film goes and go on to make documentaries. And De Niro, well, the reason why he ultimately decides, okay, I'm going to make more films is because he wants to make The Last Temptation of Christ.
And then weirdly, the same thing happened with Silence once he made Last Temptation, where it was like, this is the movie I'm going to
book
keep trying
came to
make.
him when he was making Last Temptation. I'm pretty sure one
Makes
of the
perfect
writers
sense.
gave Scorsese the book.
And of course, you get The Irishman after Silence.
Isn't that wild?
I made the other movie. Now fucking what?
Well,
Let me just
now
ruminate.
what? The Killer of the Flower Moon?
I think he's going to go crazy.
Yeah, what's
I'm
gonna happen?
excited for new old.
Well, he said this is a Western.
Yeah.
And that's like, he's literally never
Wait,
made a
the
Western.
next
How-
Scorsese has been announced?
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Starring-
shooting it like right now.
Starring DiCaprio and De Niro.
Yeah, and it takes place in the 20s, and it's about a serial killer.
Ooh.
And, like,
now
Killer of the Flower Moon?
Now we
Yeah.
really get to see how much Scorsese has grown.
And he said it's going to be his first Western.
Fuck it. The true crime story about multiple murders of members of the Osage Indian tribe in Oklahoma that occurred after they found oil on their lands.
Like just straight up murders.
I think like in the name of the book subtitle, Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage? Do you guys know
Well,
how
I
to
think
say
it's Osage or Osage. I think it
Osage?
doesn't really matter. August, Osage County.
No. The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI. That's the subtitle of the book.
Interesting. Well, that's going to be big.
Does it end with the Native Americans getting justice?
Probably not.
Well, then I don't want to see the movie.
Okay.
It sounds like it's going to
You're
shit on
gonna
Native
have to.
Americans.
No, I don't think it is. It's they're getting murdered because the white man's invading their land.
Mm.
I think Scorsese is in a period of reflection, to
Oh,
say
yeah.
the least.
Big. Have you seen The Irishman?
So he's
I know
pro-
you have.
My theory, I might as well call it out now, is it's going to be a very reflective movie about the horrid past of America and how we mythologized it with Westerns.
Oh, my
Just
God.
like he did with The Irishman in the gangster film, I think he's about to do that with Westerns.
And he's about to combine the
His two
stars that led him all the way down to this road.
Does Leo
kinda
star in a lot of Scorsese's?
Mm-hmm. Gangs in New York he stars in all of them except Hugo. Oh, and then Silence and fucking Irishman.
Yeah, those are the only three that since
post-2000s.
Gangs of New York.
So he becomes the new De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's an observation that
D.
many
Niro,
people
D.
have,
Caprio.
genius.
He did it.
Illuminati confirmed.
Illuminati convert.
So he was gonna just make documentaries.
Well, then he decides he wants to make Last Temptation of Christ, and he wants De Niro to play Jesus. And De Niro's like, yeah, I don't really want to. I want to make a comedy next. And he had apparently purchased the rights to a script written by Paul Zimmerman is his name. But Paul Zimmerman, the writer of The King of Comedy, this is really, he wrote 2 other feature screenplays and also wrote 4 episodes of Sesame Street.
Nice.
But this is the only film of note that he ever made. Or wrote, rather. So Scorsese reluctantly was like, okay, I'll do this movie. And I guess he later said that he doesn't believe that he should have made the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually,
Apparently it was very emotionally grueling for everybody involved.
on the Blu-ray that you graciously allowed me to watch because I fell asleep during our group viewing.
Surprise,
as-
surprise.
For the record, I have only fallen asleep during one other movie extensively, and that's Boxcar. That's Boxcar
And
Bertha.
we gave you the pass on that.
Because it sucked. But I do feel bad about King Comedy. So here's an official apology so that the viewers can also know that I'm sorry.
Good.
Listeners,
Who's sorry?
Brandon.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Frank.
There's some special features that I was looking into, a couple of deleted scenes that are great. We can get into that later. But there's also an interview at the Tribeca Film Festival with Scorsese and De Niro that I found pretty interesting. I didn't watch the whole thing because who does that? But from what
It's
I
good
saw,
enough.
they talked about how during Raging Bull or a little bit before Raging Bull, De Niro had the King of Comedy script and kept trying to push it or some sort of material about the King of Comedy. And kept trying to push it on Scorsese, who did not. He said he was like, I didn't want to read it. I didn't read it till the year before we made it.
Interesting.
And then he finally read
Why
it.
is Scorsese so reluctant to make all these? Because they end up fitting in perfectly with all the bullshit that he's been trying to do his whole career.
Maybe that's why. Maybe
Yeah,
he was
maybe.
trying to buck against it at his young age.
It's possible.
And then decided to lean into it.
But I do think that given the fact that we just sort of mentioned it, like, yes, I think this is very thematically similar to a lot of things that Scorsese has done in the
Yes.
past, most notably Taxi Driver, probably overall.
I'd say all four of those in a row are basically the same.
They do a lot of the same things. However, I do think that this stylistically and even narratively, and certainly as far as its genre or genres are concerned, it's pretty out there, even in terms of the rest of Scorsese's career. And I think that De Niro's performance in it is pretty hammy for like a De Niro performance in a Scorsese film. Even like New York, New York, which I thought was like over the top and ridiculous. This is like kind of restrained in a way, so there's more of a realistic angle to his portrayal of Rupert Pupkin than Jimmy Doyle, I think. Like, I feel like there's a more
That's fair.
tangible, real human being at the heart of Rupert Pupkin, which I do think is one of his best performances that he's ever given, and apparently Scorsese's favorite of all the performances given under his own direction.
You know, that's crazy that you talk about him being so hammy, because I know I probably wasn't supposed to interpret this way, but the way that he was acting the whole movie, I was like, it feels like he's pretending to be Rupert Pupkin. Like, Rupert Pupkin is this idea that he created in his head of who the king of comedy should be, and that's just something he's putting on. And maybe that's just what my brain did to try to like make up for the
makes
hamminess.
sense.
But like that just added like a whole new layer that I thought I made up myself, where I was just like, man, it feels like he's not acting how he acts, and I think that is on purpose.
That makes sense because he's an amalgamation of all the media he's consumed, very similar to how Travis Bickle is an amalgamation of all the information that's been dumped into him. It's just a different form of information, even though that's why I was going to ask that point, because I had made a similar connection. As far as the similarities between him and Travis Bickle, how do you think Travis differs from Rupert?
They're getting different information.
Okay.
I think Bickle's information is we live in a terrible society. All I see is trash because I was in war and I view people different than me as the enemy.
Yeah.
So he's back and he's just, everything is vile and evil and blah. So that's the information he allows to come in.
Yeah.
So then out product is a vile human being.
Yeah.
All Rupert Pupkin likes is comedy and celebrity and entertainment.
Pop culture.
So he's transferring that into a walking, I'm ready to be famous. I'm
With
gonna
the
mimic.
crazy suits all the time
Right.
and his hair always done
I'm
up.
going to act like I'm already famous.
Yeah.
So
He has the
it's-
Pride and Joy cards. Like, here, take a look at my Pride and Joy.
I thought that was pretty funny.
But see, that's the thing.
He's
He
kinda
has
funny.
some funny jokes.
kinda
He
funny.
has some stuff that lands.
It's my pride and joy, please.
He's not great by
No.
any stretch.
he's not celebrity level great. I think that just to jump to a random point in the movie, when they give him the feedback where they're like, hit the circuit, like, you know,
Yeah, do
work
some
on your act.
work.
Like,
That's what I kept hearing.
There's something here. I don't think that's a lie to get him to leave.
Oh, no, probably not.
Or anything.
At least it might not be as heavy of a lie. It's probably a softer lie, if it's a lie at all.
I don't think it is a lie at all. I think it's genuinely like, go work at this. Maybe you'll get better.
And knowing
Yeah.
how comedy worked back then, it was like you really had to have your feet on the ground before
Yeah, you had to go
got
through the
any
club
sort of,
circuit.
Yeah, before you got any sort of notoriety. And it was interesting because every time, the major time he was turned away, she tells him, like, when you start working, you let us know and we will send a representative out there to like listen to you.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that's how it worked back then. I think that's really interesting. Like, you just performed sets, you went around and hoped you lucked up with the right crowd, had the right people in it.
And he, unfortunately, is just like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Truthfully, he
that's
did.
not what I want.
He did almost exactly what you're supposed to.
Yes.
Like, he is afforded an opportunity better than almost anybody starting from scratch.
Yeah.
He's literally in the office, literally has spoken to Jerry,
Yeah.
is literally getting told, like, we'll come watch you.
Yeah.
That's like best case scenario, but
Yes.
he's ready for the fame.
He wants to be on the show. He wants to be co-host, eventually new host. Like, you can just see it in his eyes.
Is that any difference than Travis wanting to be a hero?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who I kill. I'm just ready to be a hero. It doesn't matter that I was an actual hero when I killed that man in the liquor store or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be known as a hero.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to be
It doesn't
known
count
as
if
a
people don't
comedian.
know.
We jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just want to say real quick, when we get back to this point in which he's, giving or getting his feedback from the producer at the Jerry Langford show, remember Steven Spielberg. Okay?
Okay.
And we'll come back.
Why can't we talk about it right now?
Because I think we should go back to the beginning, to where the King of Comedy starts.
Very dramatic opening. Very
in
chaotic.
which I actually thought was a very reminiscent opening to Opening Night.
Mm-hmm.
The John Cassavetes film, which is a far more emotional sequence. Like I remember seeing that scene for the first time. For some reason, just tears immediately start falling. I was like, "This is crazy." But
they're played the same energy and tone.
yeah,
And
frantic.
Opening Night is Cassavetes' examination of fame and celebrity, so it makes sense that he would probably intentionally call upon his friend.
That
Marty
makes
being
sense.
His protege.
But so Rupert Pupkin shows up at the Jerry Langford show to try and what seems like get an autograph. And there's a lot of other people that are calling out to him, like they know him because he's part of this sort of scene of people that go find famous people to try and collect either their autograph, meet them, get something from them, essentially. And then Jerry Langford comes out and everyone, like rabid dogs, jump all over him. And Masha is there. Masha will come back to, played by Sandra Bernard, who hasn't done any other like huge projects as far as I remember. I think there may have been one or two, but nothing too crazy.
Nothing.
But
major.
she is insanely good in this movie.
Very convincing.
And Masha sneaks into Jerry Langford's limo that's waiting for him to take him away. And Rupert Pupkin pulls him out to safety. And from that point, there's a freeze frame on Masha's hands, like crazily reaching out for Langford through the window of the car. And Rupert, like, peeking through her fingers, and it freeze frames on that, and we get the title card and a needle drop of Ray Charles, Come Rain or Come Shine. It's a great song, but very disturbing in this context.
Yeah, the imagery was very scary. I will say
And that song comes back later.
She was not being a normal nice fan when she snuck into his car.
No.
The moment he stepped foot in there, she was like, Jerry! Jerry! I didn't even work out what she was saying until I had the subtitles on. It's so good. It's so good. It's basically like, Jerry, don't you see me? Look at what I did for you. Jerry, what the fuck? In Masha's mind, like, Jerry is supposed to love her. Like, she is actually confused as to why he doesn't. And that plays a very important role in her character for the whole movie.
Certainly. It sets the tone of
the world.
Yeah, tone of the world, tone of celebrity culture. That it's going to be viewing the insanity that is being a celebrity.
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis is playing Jerry Langford. That's
actually an
hilarious.
Interesting point, because we talked about how on this viewing, Frank and I being Jesse,
I'm Frank.
I'm Brandon.
have seen this a few times. Well, I've seen this a few times.
I've only seen it once.
But I had seen your DVD of it back in the day when I saw it for the first time, probably in my teens.
Yeah, my father was obsessed with me seeing this because he still maintains it's De Niro's best performance.
Hey, Frank's dad.
Hello,
How's it
father.
going?
Hey, Frank's dead.
Papito.
Anyway, I saw this young, thought it was good back in the day, but never really picked up too much on the super meta stuff going on in this. And this is one of the things that plays into that, which we'll come back to probably quite a few times. But the character was originally named something else that was not Jerry Langford. It was like Bobby Langford, I'm pretty sure. But it was Jerry Lewis who suggested change my name to Jerry, because when we film me walking down the streets, people are actually going to be calling out, "Hey, Jerry, Jerry!" So you'll get all these real reactions from his fans calling out to him, and it'll just make for
Add to
realistic,
real.
Stuff.
He said that scene when the lady at the payphone, what does she ask him to do? Where he's like, "No, I gotta go."
Just say,
Talk to her.
Just
Talk-
say,
Talk
just
to
say
him.
something.
And he's like, "No, I gotta go." And she's like,
You should only get cancer.
You should only get cancer.
He
That
said
was a
that
real
happened to him.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, "Let's do this because I can promise you I understand this."
Scorsese talked about that at the Tribeca thing.
Nice.
He said that it was a real thing that happened in Langford when he was performing in a foreign country.
Not
Lewis.
Langford, Lewis.
Lewis, sorry.
But what's the difference?
Can we pause real quick, just because I think it's important to just try and briefly get the story of Jerry Lewis's failed project out of the way, because you gotta. If you haven't heard about it, it's the greatest story.
I haven't heard about it. What's
one of the
going on?
greatest unfinished films, or like unreleased films. Like, it's not greatest, one of the worst,
I mean, it's
but like one of the greatest as far as infamy. It sounds insane.
Yeah, so Jerry Lewis, very famous. Very famous when he made King of Comedy.
He's definitely dead, right?
Maybe.
I thought he died.
I don't know who this dude is, so he must be.
Died 2017.
Okay, so
Lived
not
a
that long
time.
ago.
He was 91.
Wow.
Jesus
That's when I
Christ.
found out about this movie, was when he died. It was people posting like, "Okay, can we see this now?"
Yeah.
It was a film he made. He directed and starred in and poured his... Did he write it? Let me see. Yeah, sure did.
Wow, so this is his The Room.
Oh, that's so nuts. It's called The Day the Clown Cried. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. I just started reading a bit of the... So it's about a clown, a German circus clown named Helmut Dork. Doork. Oh, and this was in the 70s, 72. So 10 years before King of Comedy. He's like, was once famous and now he's not famous. And he's just like trying to work at, I don't even know, carnivals or something. And then he's later arrested by the Gestapo for making fun of Hitler. Surprise, this takes place during the Nazi occupation. And he gets interrogated at a Gestapo headquarters and he's imprisoned.
I've never heard of a Gestapo. Stop.
What?
What's a Gestapo?
That's
You've
the
never heard of
Nazi.
the Gestapo?
That's the Nazi officers. They're the ones who went around and were like, "We're the police."
They weren't called Nazis?
They were the Gestapo. It was the Nazi Party's police force, from what I understand.
School didn't do a good job. I'll tell you that much. Keep going.
Anyway, so the Gestapo arrest him because he's making fun of Hitler. So then he has to go to a Nazi camp for political prisoners where he stays for a couple years. And then he tries to be like funny in the camp. And then a lot of Jewish prisoners come, including several children. He performs for everybody. He's not very good. I'm just reading the Wikipedia. I don't know. I've never seen this. Nobody's ever seen it.
Except for Jerry Lewis.
Except for Jerry Lewis and probably the people who made it.
The ending is the thing that you got to get to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm dragging this out way longer. Helmut learns that fraternizing with the Jewish prisoners is strictly forbidden. Unable to leave the children in a state of unhappiness, he continues to perform for them. The SS guards break up one of his performances. They knock him unconscious and warn the children away from the barbed wire fence because they're kept apart from each other because he's a German prisoner. Horrified, Keltner fights off... Who the fuck's Keltner? It doesn't matter. Fights off one of the guards, but he's quickly cornered and beaten to death. His friend, Dork, is placed in solitary confinement. Seeing a use for him, the commandment assigns him to load Jewish children on trains leading out of the internment camp with the promise his case will be reviewed. By a twist of fate, he ends up accidentally accompanying the children on a boxcar train to Auschwitz, and he is eventually used in Pied Piper fashion to help lead the Jewish children to their deaths in the gas chamber. Knowing the fear the children will feel, he begs to be allowed to spend the last few moments with them, leading them to the showers. He becomes increasingly dependent on a miracle, but there is none. He is so filled with remorse that he remains with them, taking a young girl's hand and walks them into the chamber.
You know what? That sounds pretty good.
The day the clown cried.
Day the clown cried. It's a clown
Sounds
making
like
jokes.
An anti-Life is Beautiful.
Almost, yeah. He's
I've
just
never
in
seen
there.
Life is Beautiful.
It's a good movie. He's just in there making jokes in a concentration camp just for a couple hours.
Is Jerry Lewis Jewish?
I can't. I'm trying to find it. I strongly doubt it.
If you weren't aware, Jerry Lewis is a very famous comedian from like back in the day, as in like the 50s, 60s. He made the original Nutty Professor or Nutty Professor series of movies.
He was half Jewish.
Half Jewish. So that was half okay.
That doesn't... No, I'm sorry, you guys. That movie doesn't sound terrible
Well,
by the end.
the thing...
Because that's a powerful message.
Is it?
I mean, it's another white savior. I think it's a good...
He's not saving anybody.
It's a white savior movie.
What are you talking
for
about?
white people.
There's
great.
no saving. He walks the kids
Don't
in
feel
to
bad.
die.
They were good ones too. Don't worry.
Brandon, what are you talking about?
Anyway, Jerry Lewis, famous comedian, movie comedian back in the day. Did he do stand-up and stuff too? I would assume he did.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not very familiar with Jerry Lewis's career. I haven't seen any of his other movies, I don't think, actually. But he was in this movie, The King of Comedy, and in the scene that we were originally talking about, Jerry Lewis is pulled out of the car by Rupert Pupkin, played by Robert De Niro, and De Niro, sort of like a security guard, backs everybody off and like shoves everybody away and screams at the crowd to stay back. And then he gets Langford in the car and jumps in with him, and Langford's going back to his hotel, and this is Rupert's like sort of elevator pitch opportunity to sort of give Langford the spiel about himself and maybe get a chance to get on Langford's television show, which would then in turn, of course, lead to his ultimate best friendship with Jerry Langford down the line, or at least that's what Rupert would have assumed, but obviously that would not ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get back to Langford's apartment, Rupert hands him that Pride and Joy card, which sort of like symbolizes a business card of sorts, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, like, you're going to give me a call? Like, I'm going to come to your office. And Langford's like, sure, basically, just to like make him go away.
Yeah, and then Rupert overstays his welcome.
Very, very largely.
Yes.
And did you mention that they're wearing the same outfit?
Yeah,
Only their
basically,
shoes are different.
There's basically no difference between their outfits.
There isn't one. It's the same outfit, like to the
crazy.
T. Their shoes are different, so it's like you're walking in another man's shoes. You're
Yeah.
not in his shoes.
Yeah.
You're still in yours.
Sort of kind
You
of a
can
theme
look-
from New York, New York.
Yeah, you can look the
Nyeh, nyeh.
part, but you're still not in his shoes.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's nice. That's nice.
Tricky.
Good job, Sassy.
So then immediately following this scene, we hard cut to a flash forward years later in which De Niro is at lunch. Well, Rupert Pupkin is at lunch with Jerry Langford, and Langford's sort of begging Rupert at this point to give him some help. I can't.
Take
What was
over
he?
the
What,
show.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, take over the show.
He needs a vacation.
No, he just needs a little break from
Okay.
the show.
And
Right.
Rupert's just like, "What a friend's for, Jer."
Well, after saying no, I couldn't. No.
You're too
No,
great. You're
you're-
too good.
Yeah.
But then, haha, psych, just kidding.
I'll
We
do
cut back and forth in this sequence to present day. Rupert sort of doing this as a scene to himself, like in the mirror, like talking. And he's much more exaggerated in his performance in real life. Like the scene in which we're seeing what was assumedly in Rupert's head plays out very naturally.
Yeah.
And in a way that, like, had it not gone to Rupert doing the bit in his room,
Would have believed it.
I would have believed, okay, maybe this is just like jumping back and forth in time. There's no linear, narrative going on here. So
It's
that
a
would have
good
been
reveal.
Yeah, it is a really, really good
A
reveal.
good punchline.
And I even think that the bit of De Niro doing it by himself is so good. It's like one of the best part or things in any of the Scorsese's movies, I think. And especially once De Niro's mom, or not De Niro's mom, Scorsese's mom in real life.
Playing Pumpkin's mom.
Yes, interjects just off screen with her voice, like, Rupert,
Mom,
please stop calling me.
She interrupts the fantasy.
It's great.
It's so great
Real
about
life
that is
intruding.
that when during the Tribeca thing, when Martin was talking about that, he was like, I didn't even really have to like do much. Like they've known each other their whole lives, so it was really just like she's like, oh, I'm just talking to Bobby. That's fine. I can do that. Bobby. He said the hardest part was getting her to say Rupert.
Interesting.
No, not Rupert.
Not
Bobby.
Not Bobby.
Mom.
Please stop
great.
calling.
But I think even in this scene, I felt the feelings already start to creep in of like, this is hilarious, but it's also kind
Delusional?
of scary and
Yeah.
delusional. And then also
Incredibly sad.
just very depressing.
Yeah.
Like beyond sad. It's just like, oh, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts that it's like, how do you get to this place
Yeah.
of pure delusion, which
Yeah.
is also scary. And then the things he does are kind of scary.
Yeah.
But then it's also kind of just hilarious.
Yeah, I know. Rupert's room is almost like Kubrickian in its design.
Yeah.
And
I'll
like
say
it
that,
like
yeah.
it almost seems to come off like what I would have assumed could have been like Alex DeLarge's room or something in like A Clockwork Orange, and that like all the pop culture stuff that's on around or whatever, and the design and the color palette and everything. Like especially that wall with the audience wall,
Mhm.
and then his cutouts of Liza Minnelli and Jerry Langford, which again another meta reference. Liza Minnelli being in this sequence just via cardboard cutout. Though apparently she did film a scene, but it was cut from the movie at the end of the day. But she's apparently in the credits.
Were Scorsese and
Sassy.
and Kubrick, fuck, I'm over it.
Were they friends?
Yeah, were they pals?
I have no idea, actually.
Me
That's the
neither.
first time I've ever really referenced Kubrick, I think, on this podcast as far as being connected to Scorsese in any way. But I also think that you could pull this back to being similar to Michael Powell, who I guess, or and Rick Pressburger too, but being that Scorsese directly references them as influences on this as far as the, reality fantasy stuff is concerned, and how the Powell and Pressburger handled that in their work. And I think also as well as the production design, because their production design was always very lavish and very colorful, especially, most specifically in their Technicolor films. But you could, make that distinction for Rupert's place too. And even The Office, Jerry Langford's office, which is crazy looking, like that little like pole Rupert sits up against. Is that what actually comes next after that sequence in which he's doing the whole scene in front of the mirror or whatever? We never see a mirror if it is, but it's the same idea.
I think he goes back to the office. Or he goes to the office. Because after that is when he meets up with Rita. He doesn't meet with Rita
The
until
bartender.
after he goes to the office, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so he had to have gone in the office first
Yeah.
to try and see Jerry. and then they're like, come back tomorrow, or they give him a phone number.
No, I think they say that he won't
Fuck.
be in today and like to come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow at 3. And he's like, tomorrow at 3, tomorrow at 3, tomorrow at 3.
But he gets to meet the producer.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm remembering everything now. Gets to meet the
Yeah.
gets to meet the producer of the show, and like,
or is it his assistant?
it's the producer's assistant, dude.
There it is.
It's the
Yeah.
producer's assistant, the blonde woman,
Assistant to the regional manager.
whose name I can't remember and I feel bad about. When she just tries to like tell him to get some work the same way Jerry does, he doesn't take that from her, and eventually boils it down to, she's like, well, do you have a tape? And he's like, I have a tape. He doesn't have a tape, but he said he had a tape.
You always say
And-
yes in this business.
Yeah.
And-
You always say yes.
You
Yes,
always
I can
say
do
yes.
that. Yes or no, sir.
But he basically boils it down to, if you give me a tape, like, if you listen to it, like, when will you be able to tell me? And gets her down to an official answer tomorrow at 3. So he's riding that high. He goes to see Rita and talks mad game.
Which is somebody... Mad Game.
Mad game.
His version of Mad Game. What are you talking about? That boy did not have any more game than fucking
Just
Jimmy
being
Doyle
sarcastic.
or Travis.
This is
Like,
a
it
comedy.
works.
This is a comedic podcast.
time the fuck out. You're gonna sit here and go, it works, but had been sitting there complaining about New York, New York.
No, well, hold on.
It works.
Are you talking about it works in this movie or that it works on Rita?
It worked on Rita.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying. And
Well,
it does
it
work
works
on
in
Rita,
Rita,
but the
yeah.
thing that works on Rita is the attraction to, oh, I'm going to be able to go to Jerry Langford's house.
That's not
Somebody
yet.
salty
Oh, well,
that
just
New York-
regardless that he knows Jerry Langford. He's connected to somebody who's actually famous.
Does he
you
mention
sure
that
that's not
before
yet?
they go on the date?
He definitely
She doesn't.
mentions
He
that.
doesn't mention going to the house until at least they're at the restaurant.
No, I know he does later, but I'm saying that like that's the draw for her, I'm sure, at the end of the day.
She
the
knew
reason
him
why it works for
before,
him. Yeah,
like from
they've
high
seemed
school.
to know
High
each other,
school.
yeah. But she said that he never made a move.
Right.
It's like, you're finally asking me out after 15 years or whatever it was.
She's pretty good. Diane Abbott.
Has she been in anything else big?
I mean, she was in Taxi Driver. She's the girl at the porno theater.
Really? You
And
mean the clerk behind
Mhm.
the counter? No shit.
And she's in New York, New York as Harlem Club singer.
Wow.
And she's in Love Streams.
That's right. You mentioned that when it started. You were like, is that the woman from Love Streams?
It is.
Yeah.
And it's Cassavetes basically his last film. And she plays his love interest, kind of. And it's very uncomfortable, but great because it's uncomfortable. But she was married to De Niro
In real life?
in real life from
No
76
way.
to 88. That was De Niro's wife, Rita.
Wow.
So he's just hitting on his wife.
Sassy's a bachelor though, right?
Actually, I don't know much about his love life, but he's got grandkids, so I assume he's a good Catholic boy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. He's been married a lot of times. Holy shit. He was married to Lorraine Brennan, 65 to 71, Julia Cameron, 76 to 77, Isabella Rossellini from 79 to 82, Barbara De Fina, 85 to 91. He's been married to the same lady, Helen, I can't say that, Morris, since 1999. So
So this is the longest one.
this is the longest one by far, and hopefully his last, because he is old.
Good for him.
Well, then after, all right, he doesn't spit mad game, but after convincing Rita on a date, it hard cuts to them being on the date
Which is
without her agreeing.
awful.
And
But
there's something going on
In
in
the
the background of this scene that Frank and I picked up on like fast, and it was like, what the hell is that?
Well, I
He-
noticed the
he
guy
ended up
cross
explaining it.
behind him.
he ended up explaining it in that little interview. Yeah.
Oh, Scorsese did.
You're
Can I
kidding.
guess before you say it?
Go for it.
Is it the idea of what it's like for what Rupert's doing to Jerry, and so it's him imagining he has someone doing it to him?
No. Think
God
of it
damn
as
it.
much more literal. They cut a scene afterwards. That guy is making fun of Rupert because he's trying to flirt with Rita too. And there was a scene there's a scene that they cut afterward where she ends up meeting with him, and he's not a very good guy. But Scorsese was like, yeah, it didn't matter, so he cut it, and that bit's still funny. It's fine.
That's so weird.
I like my interpretation better. I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear you say that.
And that wasn't verbatim, but that's definitely what the gist of it was.
So then they have their awkward date. Is this when he mentions?
Oh yes, because that's the only reason why she agrees to like do anything else with him.
Exactly.
It's
That's the
'cause-
point I was just making. I guess I jumped ahead in a way.
The most outrageous of this whole thing is that he gives her his autograph.
That's right. He's showing her his autograph book, and he's like, and this is one of the most valuable ones. Or
And
something
she's like, "Who
that.
is that? That's
can't
so
read
good.
it.
That is such a good bit. Who is that?"
Rupert Pupkin.
Cute. And then he gets real serious. Like, no, take it. It will be worth something.
And I mean, he's not wrong.
Maybe.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
He signed enough autographs.
We'll get to that.
But not even that. Like, I think anybody who did like one crazy thing 40 years ago, you think their autographs are worth it? I'm
Not
trying
like
to think of a
that.
good example.
More than mine,
Yeah, okay.
you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
good point.
He's basically asking her to marry him
In his mind.
during this whole thing.
Is this where he's pitching? Like, you can live with me and I'll take care of you?
Yeah, you'll have a much better life if you go with me because like I'm gonna be famous and I'm gonna do this, and this. And she's not with it. And then he's like, we can also go hang out with Jerry this weekend. And she's like, okay.
We could also go to Jerry's house this weekend, his summer home, if that's even what it is.
It is a summer home.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
They
And
treat
he's
it like it's one.
He's like, he's having a party. He's having people over, specifically. He's like, because eventually he's like, we're
What a
out to guess.
maniac.
I know.
A literal maniac.
And I can't remember if this is when he goes back to have the scene where he's on the talk show sitting with
It
the
is.
cardboard cutouts of Liza Minnelli and Jerry Langford. But
Which is just weird.
I know, it's very strange.
It's
Very
just like-
disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All three things again and again.
Yeah.
Just like stewing inside this. I don't know. How much is this them reflecting on their own careers at this point?
Well, I imagine it must be, at least to some degree, because the fact that they say that this was an emotionally grueling experience, pretty fucking weird to me.
Did you find out why? Was it just like a troubled shoot? Couldn't they only film a couple hours a day?
I couldn't find anything about any of that stuff, but I also didn't do a lot of heavy searching on this one, to be honest.
This part confused me in the movie because when he's doing this whole bit, the reason the bit ends is because Scorsese's mom yells down, "You got to catch the bus." So he leaves to catch the bus. And he goes to Daniel Laurent Films, which is like, Rupert Pupkin has to have a job of some sorts.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah. What is he giving them?
I do not. Like, I literally wrote Daniel Laurent Films, question mark,
I
because
can't remember what he did.
I thought there may be a reference because he only goes in there
One scene.
to call Jerry. Because he went up there, he talked to her about nothing related to that place. He didn't say anything about the place that he was in. It was about what was going on in the movie. I know that much. And then he goes to the phone and he calls that office. And I was like, why Daniel Laurent Films? I thought maybe, just maybe, it was a reference to something that one of you guys got. But
no. All right, somebody email us at thechroniccanon@gmail.com with what the fuck's happening in that scene.
I have no clue.
Well,
Good
we
plug,
can just
right?
go back and watch it.
No. Let them email us.
Okay.
Come
email
on.
us. Tell us.
We
Tell us
don't
what's
wanna-
going on.
Come on, incite the
Yeah, make them
fans.
do the work.
Exactly. I do want to say we should all make an effort to do more reading right before recording.
Yeah, no,
Because I try to cram and I'm like, shit. So the filming, I did find it again. Scorsese was not in good health. So they shot over 20 weeks with only shooting from 4 to 7 every day. 3 hours for 20 weeks. So that's why it
Crazy.
was probably stressful, is they're trying to cram in a whole movie in not that much time.
I'd have lost my mind.
There's a bunch of people in a lot of these scenes.
Yeah.
Like a whole just screen full of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that is stress.
I'm sure that's like exaggerated. I'm sure there's some fucking days they shot for like
Though,
12 hours.
honestly,
but if the majority were like that, even that's insanity.
It's impressive that they did that, and the movie holds up so well,
Oh,
at least
yeah.
as far as continuity is concerned. Because, like, are you fucking kidding me? In Taxi Driver, when fucking Robert De Niro's hair is just every fucking different hairstyle it could possibly be scene to scene, it's ridiculous.
I
For a
wonder if that's
reason.
intentional. Time's
For a
passing.
reason.
Absolutely not.
Hey,
Because
we
we
didn't
thought
talk
the
about it
same
on the
thing about the
Taxi Driver
dude going
pod.
like, and imitating Rupert,
Shit.
being a meta element, and that's not at all. It was not intentional.
That
to
is
be
something
that
I've
kind of thing.
thought about lately.
What's intentional and what's not?
Yeah, but then how you can almost convince yourself that everything is intentional. Like for a good movie, you can keep making it up to be like, this is what it was, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh no, that's the way we had to do it.
Yeah.
Books. How often in school?
Books.
I'm just saying, like so much.
We need books.
So much shit in books. You just lighted a fire within me because I remember reading.
We gotta light all the books on fire. Fahrenheit 451.
which is
We
a
gotta
book.
burn the books.
All right, what about the
The
books?
fucking not the Scarlet Witch. I'm sorry.
Scarlet Letter.
Scarlet Letter. I almost said Fever after.
You
so,
like Marvel too much.
I know.
The fact that I
The
know that
Come on,
makes
come on,
me
come on.
sad.
The Scarlet Letter. I just remember our teacher at the time having to do so much literary analysis on shit I was like, I don't think the author had any of this in mind. I think that there were just roses in the bush, but okay, like that's fine. And I think that you can attach meaning to anything, and I think that it's still worth learning about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's true.
But you just also got to be careful. It's like, how much of this am I just running with, and how much of this can be connected to like what's there?
And isn't that just a telltale sign of a good piece of art?
Yes.
If you're enticing your audience to keep looking. Like Kubrick is the main example of that getting blown out of proportion. Like, yes, he was a control freak and a particular genius, but there's been so many things in the last, especially like 10 years that keep coming out like, okay, he wasn't like that. Like all the people being like, everything's a message. There are no mistakes. They're like, I mean, he was a collaborator and it was still a movie and shit happens sometimes. And you just gotta like, oh shit, okay, here we go.
Most
like,
things that happen in movies that tend to be the iconic or most meaningful elements of the movie tend to be accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Accidents and improv.
So like, it's jazz. All art is jazz.
It's life.
You
It's
gotta be-
organic.
Yep.
It's natural.
It's flow.
Jazz is life.
Jazz is life. So
Jazz
is vines.
is life.
And everything is sex.
Yep.
All right. This has been the Chronic Canon. Just kidding. We're not done. We're not even close to being done.
Sorry.
Joke's on you, motherfuckers. So
Comedy. See what we did there?
hey,
This is a really funny episode, you guys.
this is it's
Jason
not.
Derulo.
What about him?
Jason Derulo.
That
cat.
rum-tum tugger is a curious cat. It's coming.
It's coming.
Coming.
We got one up vote. I don't know if you saw
I
that
did
on the
see that.
so shout out to Sawyer.
I also vote for cats. Scores have 3 hours a day. Movies are hard. I don't know.
After that, it's him trying to call and it doesn't work. He goes to the payphone.
Oh my God, that scene where he's holding up the payphone because all the other ones are dead. And like he's got a giant long line of people trying to get to his payphone. He's like, I'm waiting for a call from Jerry Langford's office. I can't leave this phone because if I leave this phone, then they're not going to be able to call me and I need to talk to them.
I'm
and
more
then there's that
important than
great
you.
shot of him, which was clearly shot in like a long lens from across the street or something, but like close up and just holding the line down as he's just like casually keeping the phone up to his ear and like huddling in
Right.
the looks so
So
good.
people leave him alone.
De Niro's incredible in this. He really, really is good.
Is this the time to talk about it?
What?
De Niro? Can we just go into it?
Yeah. Well, I want to say also that I was about to address his physicality again. And I
Sure.
think it's interesting coming off something like Raging Bull, he does something like this.
This feels like the...
Probably needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like both of them loosening up. Like,
Mhm.
Jesus, that was way too serious.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why De Niro was dead set. Like, I want to make a comedy. I don't want to go from playing Jake LaMotta to fucking Jesus. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Can
no,
I
for
take a
real.
break?
I mean,
Can
he
I just be a
basically-
little
I
calm?
did basically play Jesus, right?
Ayo.
Ayo.
Ayo. So, I was just going to say, up to this point, the 5 De Niro says collabs. Where are you at? What's your favorite De Niro?
Oh, performance?
Yeah, of the 5. It's hard.
It's
It's
really hard.
really hard.
I
I
think
know
King
that
of
you
Comedy
both
almost
say-
throws a wrench in it.
New York's his worst, but I'm not
Mm.
discounting it.
I think King of Comedy is actually his best. No.
I don't know, you guys. The first thing that came in my head was Johnny Boy.
I think you can't discredit it. I was just thinking
Johnny
that too.
Boy?
Yeah.
No, I thought that the first time. In Mean Streets?
But then there's Travis Bickle, Jimmy Doyle, Jake
know.
LaMotta, and Rupert Pupkin.
I think Rupert Pupkin is the perfect amalgamation of literally everything that he's done up to this point.
I
Jake
see.
LaMotta being the least present element, but still.
I was going to say Jake LaMotta might be the perfect mesh of all of them because there's elements of Rupert in Jake in his complete delusion from reality.
And the fact that he keeps harping on things over and
Yeah.
over and over and run things out to their, nth degree, and so does Jimmy Doyle.
Jimmy Doyle's got the charm. Rupert does like Rupert, but then Jake LaMotta's more like Travis in the anger.
Yeah.
And
Here's
then
what-
there's
Just
Johnny
dead
Boy.
and, dejected.
Is Johnny Boy the perfect amalgamation of them all?
Johnny
I don't know.
Boy, I think, is the start. I think Johnny Boy's pure chaotic energy, which every single one of these characters has, they just carry it in a different way.
That's true.
Whereas Johnny Boy didn't know how to carry that chaos. Like, there was not a single scene in Mean Streets where that Johnny Boy was in where I wasn't afraid something was about to pop off.
Mhm.
And the fact that things only pop off like
Once?
5 times, I
sure.
think just in terms of like events happening because Johnny Boy did something. But just his overall presence and, him not being the lead, but still being able to just fucking kill it compared to everybody else,
That's true.
you know?
So is he our best chaotic actor?
De Niro?
Yeah.
He
Like
might be.
ever?
He's one of them.
Even
Even though he really
it's weird.
reins it in years later.
Should I not look forward to Cape Fear? Because I'd like to just see him play a villain.
I'm just
I
talking
feel
about
like that's crazy off
I think
the wall.
post Casino is when we get like cold De Niro, just like
I think that's cold De Niro. I'm not working with Scorsese. I don't know how to act anymore.
maybe.
Because his best performances are by far in all of Scorsese's movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Like almost nothing else comes close.
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't.
Maybe Deer Hunter.
I haven't seen Deer
Like, I
Hunter.
haven't seen
Ever?
Robert De Niro
Ever.
films except for The Fockers,
Which he is literally incredible.
He is very good in those
which were
movies.
very good. That's why I was like, all right, I understand this guy's a great actor. I don't know
And
why.
he's great in Jackie Brown.
That's true. He is like the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
What?
He
Samuel L.
is.
Jackson's great in that
Oh
movie,
my
too.
God.
Hey,
Heat.
and Robert Forster and Ben
Heat.
Greer. What?
Heat.
I know. That's what I was saying
I forgot.
too. Very
Heat.
cold.
You? Okay,
forgot.
I won't even lie. I forgot. I feel ashamed. Here we are,
literally
fucking
ashamed.
ragging on people. I guess
Never
we
mind.
still love Heat. We just forgot.
My name's Neil.
But even still, that was like since The Fockers, that was like my first De Niro.
Hey, I'm from the Bay Area.
I work in metals. Salesman. I am alone, but I am not lonely.
What
Oh
does
my
he
God.
say to her before
he
she
is
like?
Travis Bickle.
is about to
We
be,
have
like,
to
nine?
rewatch Heat. It's kind of been a minute.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll get.
I've
to,
seen
we'll
it
do,
this year, but I'd watch it again.
We'll do Heat. We'll do Heat soon.
And Miami Vice.
And
That's
Miami
the one
Vice.
I've
The
been
three,
craving.
Manhunter, Miami Vice.
I've
and
seen
Heat.
Manhunter way too many times now. I
Okay.
can't. I literally can't watch it anymore.
That's
I'm
a
like, this
bummer.
isn't even a movie. I got to get away from me.
That sucks.
I
But
know
anyway,
it does.
Um,
It's the worst feeling. That happened to me with Taxi Driver for years,
yeah, I know.
and now it's back.
You've had long enough
Yeah.
of a break.
Yeah. So
Okay, good.
I need like a 5-year break from Manhunter.
Yeah, give it some time.
I know every beat, man.
It's great. I'm gonna find you, you son of a bitch.
He touched her eyes, Jack.
So
It's just you and me.
He
now,
took off his
sport.
glove.
He took off his glove, Jack.
You touched her. You touched her, didn't you? You fuck.
Tell him to look under the label.
And then the. Okay, maybe I do want to watch Manhunter.
It's so good. The movie fucks. The movie fucks really hard.
All three. So everybody, a podcast of the trilogy.
Yeah,
the
that's what I was
Ocean
saying.
trilogy.
That's what I was
You're
saying.
a genius. I'm sorry. I thought you were just like, no, we should just watch them.
I was
For the
suggesting
podcast.
No, I was suggesting we do it for the podcast as an excuse.
Yes.
Are you guys saying
Yes.
pot?
I'm saying pot
Yeah.
Okay.
because
Sometimes
this
it
is
gets
a
little-
podcast. I'm
Yes.
Frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm
This is
Brandon.
Chronic Canon, where we talk about Scorsese movies,
Smoking movies, talking weed.
Live in our ears, not in yours.
but also,
Hey, if you don't like Heat, get the fuck out.
yeah, but we're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
And Manhunter and Miami Vice.
Yes.
They are a trilogy of films
Very
about
soon.
identity.
Once the summer comes along.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
After
Nice warm
this,
months, yes.
should that be our quick
an
mini series?
bridge between, directors who we might get to soon?
Yeah, but does that fuck up Michael Mann if we ever decide to do him?
Well,
No,
I
could talk. We could talk about
Yeah.
Heat forever.
yeah. It's fine.
The reheat.
It's fine. Plus, I feel like Michael Mann's like not like high on the total pole. I feel like we got at least like 4 other
I
directors.
thought you meant if like all time. I just shot Brandon a death glare.
Dude, if looks could kill, the podcast would be ruined. He didn't let me finish the sentence.
I'm sorry. I just hear, it's like that's Michael Mann you're talking about.
No, I
Let's
just
calm
mean
the
we've
fuck down.
We've
Hey,
already
that's
thought
one of Frank's really good friends. He's made a
They have.
physical
He never
connection.
emailed me
shook
back.
hands.
He never emailed you?
Neither did the other guy.
Oh.
I'm not gonna
Oh.
name him by name.
Yeah.
The critic.
Yeah. No
You
need.
know who you are.
I want to. I want to say it.
You
so
know who
bad.
you are.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You'll
Yeah.
figure it out one day, and you'll go, I fucked up. Yeah, I'm coming for you.
Whoa!
I just assumed you'd bleep me out. I hope you'd bleep me out.
Okay.
If you don't, it is what it is.
I actually don't know how to bleep yet. I just started at it.
In perfect Scorsese fashion.
Hey-oh. Yeah.
So where were we?
That was
wish-
awesome. That was awesome.
I wish people could have saw that.
I know. I like the little podcasting tricks that happen sometimes. Just like, we got to get back on track.
Yeah.
Track.
So what happened next?
I don't fucking know.
Oh, he shows
Uh-oh.
back up. He shows back up.
To where? Oh,
To
the
The
office? Okay, wait. That receptionist is
Yeah.
incredible in this movie. She,
Oh,
like,
she's-
I think it's such an easy thing to overlook. She is so good in every moment of being like, I'm just trying to work. Like, that seems to be what's on her mind. Just like, can you leave me alone?
You are doing
Dude,
in
yeah.
my way.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
this is just inconvenient. She's not mad. She's not pleased. She's just like why? Jesus.
You're absolutely right about
No
that.
one comes in here. What do you do? This place is empty. Can you go outside, please?
And she calls him a different last name
Every
every time.
I wrote that
so
down. It's funny. Mr.
Yeah.
Pipkin, it's Pupkin. Okay.
Mr. Pumpkin.
That's what I mean. She doesn't give a
Mr.
shit.
Pumpkin.
She's great.
It's amazing.
It's just like one of those things. I remember just sitting at work and I just randomly remembered her and I was like, she's
Yeah.
fucking funny.
Well, this is when he inevitably gets kicked out of the office because he will not leave. He refuses to leave. And then
He's
outside
waiting for
waiting for
Jerry.
him is Masha, who is like, I saw Jerry go in there. Jerry's in there.
No,
He's-
that's not the scene.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. This is
What?
Oh, that's because I fucked up earlier about the scene with the tape. This is the scene with the tape, according to my notes.
That's right. He gives the tape, and then he's like,
Oh
"I'll
yeah,
wait."
no, he gets
it back.
the tape, and they tell him no. This is it. Okay, this is the spot where I mentioned Spielberg because I had a weird question.
We might have
But-
jumped ahead, but go ahead.
Well, this is the scene where he shows up at the office and he gets his tape back from, the producer's assistant. Like, we listen to it. They go through that whole spiel that we talked about earlier. And then after he's rejected and is like, go away now, please, he says, okay, it's okay, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sits again. And that's when the receptionist is like, and that's when they call security. And security's like, hey, can you come with us? And he's like, oh, wait, I've got to meet with Mr. Langford. He's like, right, well, we'll do that if you come outside and talk to us first. And he's like, okay. And then they just throw him out. And then Masha's outside waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, Jerry just went in there. They told you he's not here because he's there. I saw him go up there. They're lying to you, Rupert. She's trying to kind of like antagonize him, I think, make him go back up there. And he inevitably does. But before we, figure out what happens after that,
Or before that.
I do want to mention, just because we talked about the craziness of somebody barreling into a place and being like, basically making up a story. Because he tells all of them that he knows Jerry. They're friends.
Which
they talk personally.
They did talk.
Yeah, they talked.
Facts.
Yeah, but that's the only true element to his entire spiel.
Yes.
Steven Spielberg
Mm-hmm.
got into the business because he rode tour buses that would go around studio lots in Hollywood. I can't remember if it was Warner Brothers or which specific studio he would go to, but he would jump off the tour bus when the tour guide wasn't looking, and he'd go walk into a building, and he'd go sit in a chair in an office, and he'd just start working. And that's how he got in. And no one questioned it. It worked. But now Steven Spielberg is lauded as like one of the greatest directors of all
Because you
time.
have to be
How
a
do you
little
just
fucking
sit-
crazy.
How
You
do
have
you
to be a
just-
little crazy.
I don't understand what you mean. How does a director sit down and start working?
He just worked at the studio doing shit. He was like, yeah, I'm an intern. And they're just like, oh, okay. And then it's just like, he's there. Everyone's like, Steven Spielberg, the intern. He was never hired by anyone, but he's just there now because he says, I'm an intern.
I don't
And
think
people are
that's
just like, sure, people buy it. And then inevitably, he starts getting low-level positions on film sets because they're like, oh, yeah, Spielberg, you want to actually get some money? How about we hire you to do this? He's just getting his name out there, essentially, putting his presence in the ether.
But he just walked in, which is a
And
thing
he
that I
jump
don't
off the
think
tour bus.
could happen
Not
today.
now. No.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm glad he figured it out while he still could. And then we got Jaws.
Yeah, then we got Jaws down the road.
I've never seen Jaws.
That's crazy to me. One day we will.
Never once.
That blows my mind.
Never once.
Yep. But
Maybe.
Wait,
I just
is that
wanted to
like
ask you, do you
blueberries? Are you doing that on purpose? Have you not seen Jaws on purpose to say you haven't
No,
seen Jaws?
I want to see Jaws.
Okay.
Do you think there's Rupert energy to that story?
Yeah.
Like if it didn't go his way?
Yes, that's another aspect. If Rupert if he gave the tape and they were like, God damn, you are hilarious, let's come on the show. You know what? Fuck it. We wouldn't view Rupert the same way because he's validated, because he would be right.
Yeah.
Which is the complication of Jake LaMotta, because all you see is the victor in the ring.
Yeah.
And so because of that, everybody as a public would disregard the violent human being just lurking around.
Yeah, right.
So if Rupert was successful, his insanity would be foregone. And telling a story like that, Spielberg probably was a little fucking crazy, because you got to have something going off in your head where you just decide to do something like that.
Yeah, true.
And at least it was for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it always comes down to. And I think that's what Scorsese's been exploring this whole time.
Yeah.
Like up to now, like all these films is like that drive to do something that seems present in most humans,
Yeah.
and how it can be thwarted and misplaced if you don't have the jazz. Or, well, I guess also if you do have the jazz, because fucking LaMotta, I forget. He's the weird one because he's a success. So anyway, what was your final vote on favorite De Niro performance?
This.
Brandon? Are you going Johnny Boy?
I'm gonna go with Johnny Boy.
I don't know. I'm Jake LaMotta.
Jake LaMotta's still your favorite?
I'm Jake LaMotta.
I am Jake
You
LaMotta.
fuck my wife.
Jesse's favorite is Rupert Pupkin.
Brandon's favorite is Johnny Boy.
Frank's favorite is Jake LaMotta. See, I don't even know if I believe that. Wild card, Jimmy Doyle.
So Rupert Pupkin charges back up to Jerry Langford's office, charges through the door. They're like, Mr. Pupkin, please. And he's like, no, I'm going to go. He just keeps walking straight back into the back offices of his building.
There's a funny little back and forth bit where it's like inside. It's shot from inside an office, and you see Rupert go by. And
Very good physical comedy.
You see some security guards go by, and Rupert was just walking before, and then some security guards go by, and then Rupert comes back again, and he's sprinting.
It's awesome.
And then they go.
I said it almost felt like Tati.
Yeah, that bit definitely did.
It was good.
Playtime.
It was a good little
Oh,
bit.
shit.
But then they carry him out way more aggressively this
Yep.
time.
Oh yeah, they fuck him up.
Yeah. And they throw him out again. And then what happens after that,
Is
Brandon?
this when he goes to the summer home?
This is after.
It is not.
No,
after.
I meant to say that is after. Oops.
So then he goes to the summer home. He gets Rita. I
Yeah.
think there might be another scene
Oh yeah,
where he's
'cause
like
that's
in the
why
basement.
because he can't find him there, so he's like, all right, well, he's got to be at the summer home.
No, it's like
Yeah.
the next scene, dude.
Okay, so they go. Jerry convinces Rita to go with him as a date to a party.
No,
that
Jerry
Jerry's
doesn't
supposed-
convince Rita.
Fuck.
Rupert.
convinces Rita to go with him, and she's all dolled up and excited and giddy, and he's confident and giddy and seems serious.
This
Yep.
is crazy.
And so they arrive at Jerry's summer home, where he is not, but his servants are.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, this is not like just kidding. This is all in his head. They are going there for real, people.
It's the porno date. It's the same uncomfortable. How did you misread this so hard? So he goes, they show up. They're like, hey, we're here to be guests of Jerry. And the servants are confused. But Rupert, being Rupert, is so confident and charming and smiley. They're just like, okay, I guess. But then they call Jerry, who shows up and is pissed. But okay, this was the scene where I was like, damn, Jerry Lewis is fucking good in this movie.
He's great.
Like,
And they've made that like a note in like all the trivia I've read about it that many people involved, Scorsese most notably, Jesus, said that he thought his performance in this was very underrated.
I think it is. Like just that scene alone, he plays it in the one way I would never expect someone to play it, where he's like listening. He's like,
He's being incredibly nice to Rupert.
cool. I need you to go. Like that's basically the energy. It's not the what the fuck's going on or get out of here or terrified. Like
Yeah.
it's this weird indifference almost, just like I'm tired and you are bothering me.
Yeah, or almost just like,
Please
what the
leave.
fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
go.
he feels a little bad,
Yeah.
and I feel
Because Jerry doesn't seem like a complete piece of shit,
no.
like at all, actually.
When you see how much he's mauled just existing by random people,
Yeah.
it's like, I kind of get why you're like this, because you're not even mean. You're just like, please leave me alone.
Yep.
Like, just because I'm on TV doesn't mean you own me.
I don't owe you anything.
But that's celebrity culture,
Ayo.
which we're still living in.
Oh, it's very relevant, given that the fact that Joker was a success.
Yeah. I feel like that's got to be this movie more than Taxi Driver, right?
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
So Jerry Lewis is great, and they're going to kick Rupert out.
This is the scene where I realized that I think we're seeing different iterations of the same character. Because when once Rita realizes that this is not real, she immediately goes into like I'm so sorry, Jerry. Like, Jerry, please. Like, I'm so sorry. I would never do this. Like, she is just as crazed, just as a crazed fan as any of them. She's just normal and wouldn't normally like approach him and like
Yeah.
a bullseye him.
I
Don't
did think
associate
it
this
was
with
pretty
me.
strange how comfortable she got in his place. Like,
Well, she
immediately.
thought she was a guest.
And I also find it interesting that Rita ends up stealing something of Jerry's.
Yeah, just like a thing.
Yeah, just something small, but she
What
ends up
was it?
sliding something into her
Probably
purse.
because she'll never step foot in Jerry Langford's house
It
again.
looked like a little crystal, like square thing.
Make some money, baby.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I thought it was like a souvenir. Like, I was once on this crazy ass date, and I ended up in Jerry Langford's house, and this is the crystal I stole.
I mean,
I know
guess
if I ended
that
up
were
in
the mentality,
Keanu,
I totally get it.
dude, if I ended up in Keanu Reeves' house on accident and like knew that I would never end up in Keanu Reeves' house again, I'm swiping something. I'm not gonna sell it. It's gonna
That's
be
smart.
mine, but it's gonna be like my little souvenir. I'm not saying stealing's okay. I just don't think it's like for like I'm gonna get some money off of this because I'm upset.
Right.
I almost feel like I'm going to get some money off this is better.
No.
The other ways, what, you're going to show people, look how crazy I am.
No, because it's from her position, it's not like she did it herself.
Okay.
She wound up there,
Oh,
and it's
made
kind
you
of
take
wild.
You can just tell somebody.
How you gonna believe me?
Why am I going to believe you that little glass crystal's from Jerry's
Because
house?
I'll look at it and remember.
I mean, it seems like based off the fact that, Rupert gets a couple of Jerry's napkins, he engraves things with his initials, JL.
Fair enough.
Maybe it was engraved. Who knows?
Fair enough.
Maybe she'll get it engraved.
I wonder if those are Jerry Lewis's napkins in real life.
They probably are.
They probably are. He was the wacky guy when he was a comedian. And like
Yeah.
in his funny days, like he was never the straight man. He was always the like over the top personality. So like theoretically should play more the Rupert.
Which, if you'd never seen a Jerry Lewis movie prior or knew that any of that before seeing this, you would have never thought that.
Mm-mm. He plays it so fucking
you guys
straight.
are blowing my mind with this information.
And in fact, I believe it was De Niro who was reticent to cast Lewis in this part because he was like, I don't think he's going to be able to do it seriously, and people aren't going to be able to take him seriously. And Scorsese was like, no, damn it, he's going to be able to do it.
Well, they originally wanted Johnny Carson. Yeah, he's like, this is my life. I don't need
He's
this.
like, not only is this my life, I'm not trying to like inspire some John Hinckley to go do this.
Just like Taxi Driver did.
Yeah, well, we didn't really talk about John Hinckley much, but that is an important thing to bring up, I guess, in the
Who
terms
the
of
fuck is
Scorsese.
John Hinckley, and what about Taxi Driver?
Did he successfully shoot?
He shot.
Gerald Ford?
No, it wasn't Gerald Ford. It was Reagan.
It was Reagan.
Oh, you guys did mention that briefly.
Yeah, that this guy saw Taxi Driver, became obsessed with Jodie Foster, like basically stalked Jodie Foster, and thought that because having seen Taxi Driver, I think, and because of the political assassination and stuff in that movie, he was like, oh, if I assassinate somebody of political power, I will impress Jodie Foster enough.
Forgetting her movie.
And he shot at Ronald Reagan and did shoot him, I'm pretty sure, but Reagan lived. So it wasn't a successful assassination, but it was an assassination attempt nonetheless.
Did he get away?
No.
No, he was arrested, but he just got out of jail 4 years ago.
No shit.
How's he doing?
Him and the juice hanging out?
I don't even know.
There's a juice meme going around right now.
He had to have he had to be a risk assessment again after 18 months, and then when he was cleared for that, he's now allowed to move out of his mother's house.
Wow.
So he's basically left jail and was put on house arrest essentially.
Okay.
For like 18 months. Like, we got to make sure you're not just fooling us.
Crazy.
So he's 64 now. So I think that's why there is controversy around Taxi Driver and like, is this good to exist?
I think that's interesting going into this movie that had happened before the production of Can Comedy, given their similarities. Oh yeah, a year before, and that's why Johnny Carson turned it down.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need this to happen to me. Jesus Christ.
And I believe they had a handful of other people that were attached. Apparently, Bob Fosse was at one point attached to direct this movie.
I saw that.
And
With Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman in the lead role.
Would have been the best.
Would have been crazy.
Probably would have been better.
Probably would
Honestly.
have been funny. I'm just kidding.
This movie is pretty funny.
It made
Do you
me
guys think
laugh.
this movie's funny?
Yeah.
I think this movie
made me
is
laugh.
funny, and I think that's what makes it doubly disturbing.
It's not hilarious if you're actually like watching it and picking up on the shit, but like there's more than one tidbit where that makes me laugh.
I don't know, because there's a couple that get me to crack up. Like, we haven't gotten there yet, but I suppose we can kind of rush through this next part of the plot here, because it really does. This next hour of the movie is a very small amount of actions happening, but just like it's boom, boom, boom.
Listen,
things happen so fast.
If you're accurate, that is the slowest first 50 minutes of a movie ever and the fastest hour ever.
Yeah.
Like, literally,
well, it's more
the
like
most,
50 minutes or 45.
Still, I'm
But
just
yeah.
saying, like, what a disproportionate first half, second half, if you're right, and I almost want to go check.
So Rupert Pupkin is now teamed up with Masha after he has been kicked out of Jerry's summer home and embarrassed in front of Rita. And he now has decided he's going to kidnap Jerry Langford, hold him hostage in an apartment or hotel room, whatever the fuck it is.
It's Masha's home.
It's Masha's home?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty
it's her-
nice fucking place.
Sure is.
Because she's rich.
She's rich. That's the whole thing.
No shit.
Yeah, she's a
I
rich
missed
kid.
that while I was
That's
watching
why she
it.
doesn't have to, like, do anything.
Also
her parents
interesting
never
to point
paid
out,
attention to her.
I don't know if this is like intentional or not, but her look, like as far as her costume design, like her hair, is very reminiscent of Maya Deren, at least in the movies of Maya Deren's I've seen. But we'll talk about that a little later.
We will.
We will.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're waiting for Langford to come out of a building, and once Langford comes out, Rupert has Masha drive forward, and he gets out of the car, like stumbles out of the car,
drops his fake gun.
Yep, and he pulls it up to Jerry, and is like, "Get in the car, get in the car." And I was like, Irishman again, get in the fucking car.
Just get in
Hey.
the fucking car. Get in the fucking car.
And he gets him in the car, and then he sits back with them and explains the situation, right?
Mm-hmm. We're going to hold you hostage. You're going to get me on the show. I'm going to do an opening comedy bit, and if you don't, we'll kill you.
Yep.
Simple as that.
And then he has him call the studio from Masha's apartment.
And even, that is
with
kind of
cue
hilarious.
cards.
Yeah.
Oh, the scene is great. And
He's like, next card,
he's
next card.
Well, I think that's even the whole thing is like he's not a professional at anything, even doing something crazy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the difference between someone like Travis Bickle, who is like, holy shit, you're like good at this.
He's kind of terrible at pulling off the kills.
Double tap, dude.
I mean, and just go quick. I don't know. It seemed like if you're a soldier, you shouldn't have been as shot as you were.
Maybe.
Like, honestly, like,
But
he
also-
seemed kind of oblivious to the situation.
Reckless. He was going to kill himself regardless. He
But
didn't
this
care.
situation
True.
goes completely backwards
Yeah.
for Rupert, essentially. And except for the fact that ultimately he does succeed, but as far
This
as like the
all goes
mechanics of
Rupert's
getting
way.
it to happen, like he stumbles left and right. And I think maybe that's even part of the reason why people let him get away with it. Because I keep questioning that. It's like, why are the police giving in to him? Like his demands.
Because he could
They
kill
got-
Jerry.
Yeah,
they
it's
gotta
not about
get
him. It's
Jerry.
about Jerry.
They gotta get Jerry, but they usually are never like that.
He's a hyper celebrity.
If that was Kim Kardashian, the same thing would be happening.
Why didn't OJ's car get shot out?
Fair point.
Yeah, if you're big enough, killing you would be the worst thing that could happen if you're a cop.
Jesus.
Taking you down, getting Jerry killed,
But
you're
you're-
the guy to blame.
You're the guy that shot Jeter.
Yeah.
Like, for real, it's insane how celebrities are treated. And then when he's on the phone, Jerry's like non-plex still. He's like, yeah, I'm all right. Just do what he says. Like, come on, I'm so tired.
It's,
like,
it's an hour.
That's his whole thing the whole time is he just seems so tired.
Yeah.
So fed up.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
His existence looked exhausting.
Yeah.
And then he's sad and alone in his apartment. It's like, oh, poor me. I'm the most famous.
Yep.
It's so confusing how I feel about this.
I'm the most famous.
And I'm sure that's how it is. I don't know. Celebrity culture is crazy.
Yeah.
What do we know? Nothing. But
Most
I'm gonna
celebrities
judge.
didn't ask to be celebrities. They just wanted to do the thing that they're good at.
But then inevitably Rupert is like, okay, I'm off. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to go to the studio. I'm going to go become the king of comedy. I'm going to go make it official on the
So-
Jerry Langford show.
We watch in a somewhat procedural fashion as he goes step by step into getting on the show.
Yep.
And we occasionally cut back to Masha and Jerry's intimate sessions of love.
This is where I was going to bring up the fact that I crack up. Like those
This
scenes
is pretty
destroy me. And mostly
'Cause she's
just
ridiculous.
Jerry's reactions. Which
His
are,
non-reactions.
Yeah, they're so good. Because
Okay.
he is like duct taped to the chair.
Untape me, Masha.
And she's like, really?
Yes, really.
When she sings the Ray Charles song, the I'm
Oh
gonna
my
come rain or
Is
come
that when
shine.
she throws all the stuff off
That
the table?
scene reminds me of The Master a little bit. I thought
I
I'd
see
mentioned
that.
that like when we were
I see
watching it,
that.
just the way that she does it, the uncomfortable nature of the whole thing. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, but the master's not as uncomfortable.
And the
as
song
that.
being the same, I wanna get you.
Yeah.
Come rain or come shine.
There were, since I said that this wasn't the most funny, there were in between this, there were a couple funny bits of when they were back at the studio with all the producers and stuff talking about the show, talking about whether or not they would actually let this man on the show and whether or not they would actually air it. One guy who's Langford's lawyer can't believe that they're even considering putting him on the show. And at one point during the meeting, he just goes, I'm leaving. We're suing everybody.
That's right.
He gets off with such a huff, and I remember I laughed at that pretty fucking hard.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
was
that's good. That's hilarious.
And there's a guest that appears that wrote a book that is like, I'm here to be on the show.
And they're like, not tonight.
Yeah, and they're like,
Are
what do
you
you
by
mean?
yourself?
And he's like, no. I'm like, you can't.
He's
get
like, I
on.
should be on the third page. You're not on here. What do you mean?
Is
I'm
it-
just gonna go in. Oh, you see how it doesn't work for people. How Rupert Pupkin can be like, I'm going in, and then
He is the king
gets
of
in.
comedy.
Well, he also has Jerry as a hostage.
Yeah.
That's the thing we're forgetting. You're supposed to be forgetting that he's ignoring.
Rather be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
So, is it the FBI that shows up?
It's the FBI that they talked to beforehand.
Yeah.
The
And
two
it's-
guys that like follow him around.
Yeah, and
At a point.
the one guy is the the FBI guy that does most of the talking
Mhm.
was one of the people they consulted on actually letting him on the show, and he's like, well, yeah, you should. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
Right.
Let him on the show.
That's a possibility for the ending. They might have never aired it.
That's a very.
Oh wait, we
strong-
see
well,
him air it.
That's
Unless
the
that's
point.
all made
Yeah,
up.
that's what I'm saying.
I didn't think it would start that soon.
I wouldn't necessarily believe that because he made such a big point.
We jumped ahead. I'm sorry. He gets on the show. He does his set. We don't get to see it because then he goes, I have to see it aired and then I'll tell you where Jerry is. So then he forces the two FBI agents to go with him to Rita's bar. Meanwhile, Jerry escapes, which we kind of alluded to. He's Masha's trying to fuck him. And then he's like, fine, untie me and I'll fuck you, basically. And she's
Yeah.
like,
Implies-
oh boy.
All he says, not even in a different tone, was
Untie
"Untape me,
me.
Masha."
Untape me.
And then she was like, "Really?" And then he says, "Yes."
Doesn't
And
he
then
say like, don't you want me to touch you or something?
No, I don't think there's even that.
He just goes, "Yes." And
Hilarious.
she does. And then that little bit is also, it's like, it's not supposed to be funny.
It's hilarious.
But I really just like how he immediately gets up and she just knows. Like, she didn't even pretend to be like, yes. She was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And then
Fucked
he
up.
pulls up the gun, which is fake.
Yeah.
Shoots all the blanks.
Doesn't he smack her first?
He does. No, he smacks her after he
Did
shoots her with all the
did he
fake
start
bullets.
to skip out.
Yeah, Brandon's like, watch him. He like rewound it back and was like, he skips the fuck out of there. And the way he runs is just very like, very airy. Yeah.
We all did a good impersonation. You at home, do your impersonation of Jerry running.
Now.
Is your dog
Email us-
laughing? This is a
But
fucked
then
episode.
Masha runs out after Jerry in her undies.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
And
Jerry!
you know
High
that there
heels.
were real people on the streets
Oh,
that were
yeah.
probably just like, what's
What?
happening?
Is
New
that-
York.
Oh, but
that
also
Jerry
one thing
Lewis?
one thing we failed to mention is that another Marty cameo appears.
Oh,
in this,
yeah. He
and
looks
that
hot.
He does look good.
Thank you. I was about to say it, you guys.
He looks so fucking
Sorry.
hot in this one in particular.
He looks really good.
I was like, what the fuck?
And I was just like, oh, he's just some guy working backstage behind the like.
He's
behind
the
scenes of show.
director.
They're like, you're the director, and he's like, what should I do? And then he directs, and I'm like, is that Marty doing the King of Comedy, or is he the fictional director of the
Both.
Jerry Langford Show?
I think it's both. God, I just Googled him during this movie. He looks so
Okay,
good.
can we finally admit
Mm.
something I've tried to say so many times is that he looks like Oscar Isaac, or Oscar Isaac looks like him.
I don't see.
I can see it in some senses.
Much.
I'm pulling him. Okay, I could see. Yeah, well, he looks like Taika Waititi there. Oscar Isaac does. I mean, email us or tweet at us. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we have a Twitter now at Chronic Canon.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I mean,
spelled
we've
how
had
you
it the whole
spell
time since being released, but
Yeah.
first time since recording.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
8
fun-
episodes down the line.
It's fun to let people figure out our map if they care enough. That's flattering and not crazy.
Yeah. I can't wait
Like
to get
Rupert.
to. Well, I was about to say that.
Show up to the recording. We'll let you be on the episode.
I can't wait to see Marty's next cameo
That'd
in the
be
next
palpable.
movie we're watching because it's a good one.
I didn't remember his cameo.
It's very small,
Okay.
but it's cute.
So anyway,
They go to the bar. After
Go to the
he-
bar.
after he does his set.
Rupert's
Well, the cops take him to the bar.
right.
So he's like, let me watch the set here.
Rita's
on
bar.
stage.
Yep. He barges in, stands up, changes the channel to some guy, the classic.
I'm watching the movie. But
it's
almost like, hey, I'm watching the
over.
movie. Don't interrupt it with this
Right.
bullshit.
Because then it plays out
The
his
entire
whole.
act, which I am very happy about
Me
because I
too.
wanted to see the entire thing.
Yep.
And that's where I
It's a
reiterate the
payoff.
point that it's like, hey, he's not that bad.
No, he's not. He's
bad.
not night show top comedian
No.
of the time.
No one's going to remember him unless, all the stuff that happens.
But that's why I'm like, I feel like they weren't bullshitting him earlier. Like he's good, but he needs to get better.
He's
Yeah.
got to do some
It's
work.
his like first time performing.
And I actually think that there's a lot of the saddest stuff in the movie
Yeah.
in this, because you get a lot of backstory about his life. But then at the same time, I think that plays into the whole Joker bit. But that's like
Yeah.
the more like the Dark Knight Joker, where it's like how much of it is true and how much of it isn't.
I was gonna say, if you're supposed to take it at face value, I don't like it that much because I think it's like a Hail Mary fourth quarter, like have sympathy for Rupert, and it's like, no, I like this movie more as just like delusional man child.
Mhm.
But I do like the take of like, is any of that real, or does he just know that's funny?
Yeah,
It's probably a mix of both, right?
maybe. Who knows? I think it's better just being left ambiguous.
Yeah.
Which I think the movie does well.
And then he does the great bit we've already quoted multiple times: the king for a night, schmuck for a life.
That's how he ends the bit.
And because he acknowledges, like, y'all are gonna see I kidnapped Jerry in the morning, and they laugh, and he's like, I'm
Everyone's
literally
cracking the
not
fuck
joking, but okay. Like he doesn't get it.
Yep.
He doesn't get why that's a joke.
Yep.
He signs off as the king of comedy.
And then he buys everybody at the bar a drink.
Yep.
And he
the
exits.
FBI arrests him.
Yep.
And you get the closing montage.
Of him, he was, sentenced to 6-something years in prison, and then he gets out after 2.5, and then he wrote a memoir while he was in prison, and the memoir is coming out as he's getting out of prison.
And it's the biggest book.
Yep, and then he has his own show.
Yeah. And it ends with the introduction to the Rupert Pupkin show.
A classic Scorsese crane shot.
Yep. Cranes right into his
And
face.
it's being shot on video, which is really cool, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like very poor quality stuff, television quality. It's really, really, really cool aesthetic.
So then he stands there and gets the applause. And Rupert, he did it.
And I believe the movie ends on a song by the band.
That sounds right. Robbie Robertson.
Right? Is he from the band?
Yeah,
Okay.
he is the band. You
Oh,
know what I'm
nice.
saying? One of those. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Because I thought the choice of song was interesting at the end. I was like, huh. just a weird feeling that it leaves you with.
Just another the Scorsese meta element.
Yeah. And I think, part of the thing that you were saying earlier when now that the movie is over and we've reached the end of the camp comedy, that this conversation was a little strange and we were a little tired. I think that's part of the reason why I think ultimately I decided that I grade this movie 4 out of 4 or 4 out of 5.
Let's be blunt.
Well, let's be blunt right out the gate.
Let's be blunt. Movie's over. Let's be blunt.
Yeah, I say 4 out of 5 for this one.
I do as well.
I think it's a great movie. A very, very, very great effort from all involved.
I think
De Niro's stars show, though.
Yeah.
He's the thing that I really take away.
Him and Jerry.
Yeah.
And Masha.
Yeah, Masha's great, too.
I give it a 3.
That's fair.
It was like, it was fine.
I personally like this less than Mean Streets, I decided. But I still think
I
it's
like
great.
it more than Mean Streets.
I believe that. I get why.
It's like I liked watching it more, but I think it was a lot easier to pick apart and less like convoluted than the last 2 movies that we saw at least.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I think this is definitely the tiredness that we discussed last week.
Yeah.
Like hitting its full force of like living with the same ideas that this didn't exactly pop outside of the elements we've highlighted throughout this episode.
Yeah.
So I am...
Because when it pops, it pops.
It pops hard. I just felt like when it was over, this feeling of like, right, so that is it. That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a still satisfying payoff and a good ending. Like,
if Taxi Driver didn't exist, is this a much better movie?
yes.
Interesting.
A much better version? Yeah. I think a version that
I think
wouldn't have spawned a guy trying to kill the president. Yeah.
And I completely understand why anyone might think this is better
Mhm.
than Taxi Driver.
It's
Also,
easier to
this is
watch.
preferred also.
Well, I didn't say it was better than Taxi Driver. I just think that
I know.
it's better at delivering the message.
That's
Interesting.
fair.
Well,
Like,
that
it would
it's
be
bad.
it would be a better alternative message.
Yeah.
But
Alternative
I feel like
way
it
to
ends
deliver
the same way.
message.
Yeah, but...
With Rupert and Travis's death dreams, theoretically.
Right. No murder,
Yeah.
I guess, is the difference.
Yeah.
Rupert's
that's-
a little
you know,
less scary, but he's still pretty scary.
I saw a critic say that
also-
they thought the camp comedy was a much more dangerous movie specifically because there is no bloodshed. There is no clear indication that Rupert is a bad person.
Bad
but it's
guy.
like Rupert is bad. And that's
He is
why
bad.
and that is why the camp comedy is a dangerous film or more dangerous than Taxi Driver if you're holding the two up next to each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's you've made me rethink that. That's fair.
And I mean also just the general, nature of the subject around the media being more present in this than in Taxi Driver specifically. I don't think. I think that's something on the periphery in Taxi Driver, but not really directly.
Honestly,
in your
this would
face.
be something I'd be like a little on edge if it was made today. Where
Yeah,
it's like
It
I
was.
feel like
It was one of your common movies, bud.
what?
Joker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro's in it.
But I feel like
Scorsese's producing.
having Joker be a fucking fictional character just kind of puts a little cap on that.
Oh, Rupert Pupkin is not a fictional character?
Rupert Pupkin is someone that someone can relate to. You're not a fucking clown in makeup.
Dude, so many
What are you
people relate to Joker.
What I'm trying to say is that the idea behind the Joker is not that you're gonna go out and pretend to be the Joker.
But people do it.
Do it,
What are you talking about?
More than in Rupert Pupkin's case.
Yes, there have been more people citing the Joker as inspiration in culture than fucking Rupert Pupkin.
But
Yeah.
actually doing things?
Yeah. Do you want me to find you some shit?
Find me some shit, then, Playboy.
Oh my god, people fucking being fucked the Joker. That's what I'm typing into my Google. People want to fuck the Joker. Vice, thank
Because
you.
what I was saying is that having the Joker be a goddamn comic book character in our culture kind of adds a little bit of a separation there, as opposed to if something like this were made today and you're just supposed to be reflecting as a common man, some guy might actually think about doing those things.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Of course not. Neither of you agree with me.
Sorry.
I'm talking to the audience, who probably does agree with me.
Let's be blunt.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. Not as good as Mean Streets. That's where Frank stands.
Is the camp comedy in the Chronic canon?
I think maybe not.
I think as far as like my favorite Scorsese's, it's tough for me between this and Raging Bull. Like I like both of them almost equally for different reasons.
Mhm.
So it like changes day to day which one I like more if
Mhm.
you're ranking them. But they are high 4 out of 4s, the both of them.
Yeah.
And I know we inaugurated Raging Bull.
But we did talk about importance.
Yeah.
And outlying importance of being an aspect of the idea of the canon. Like
Yeah.
things that are required viewings.
Yeah, and I
And I
don't
feel like-
necessarily know if this is because
You guys both gave Mean Streets 3.5, right?
Yeah.
and we inaugurated that
Fuck. Well, if that's
because that's important.
I'm only conceding only because I've talked to both of you, and it seems that the idea is that you'd rather not inaugurate it into the canon. If I were choosing, if I had it my way, I would say, yeah, King of Comedy's in the canon. It's a great movie.
I'm gonna have to go in now.
Because I don't think just being a great movie cuts it.
Like it's not. I'm also thinking about.
I don't think it's
of,
as important to Scorsese's career specifically either.
Yes, that's
I
where I
think
was
the
going.
Taxi
And I
Driver
think-
covers the ground.
And I think if it was a better movie, I could probably be swayed easier.
Yeah.
But it left me with more indifference. So
Yeah.
at this time, I do want to vote no.
I will concede to the no.
Okay. Thank
Sorry to the King of Comedy.
you. Sorry to King Comedy.
We're
You're
sorry,
fucking
King
great.
Comedy. You are
I'm
a
not
good
trying
movie.
to say it's not.
You're a good movie.
4 out of 5 is great.
Yeah. 4 or 5 is a great rating. You should see
New
it.
York, 4.5, baby.
Yeah.
I was trying to fight for that.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. That was my
Actually,
bad.
I knew I was never going to fight for that.
I concede. I gave you New York, New York.
No.
You gave me New York, New York.
Oh,
Yes. And now you're giving me King Comedy.
So
yeah. I really hope you guys don't do. There's only one that I'm really excited to add in, and I'm not gonna say it to not give you guys any ideas of
Okay.
saying no.
that's that.
I'm excited for our next movie though, because it could be inaugurated just off of being so good.
The Shift.
But I wouldn't call it essential.
At my current juncture, it's my number 3 favorite Scorsese.
We'll see what happens. Before that, I have one quicker prompt.
Yeah.
Who's your Jerry Langford? If you were to go Rupert Pupkin on one person, I would say, let's say alive more than any time. Because, okay, no, first, do both. Somebody alive and someone who's dead. If you had to be Rupert Pupkin, who's your person?
Oh man,
I mean, dead for me. Me being frank.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Brandon.
Dead, obviously, Kubrick.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I think
Stock
that's
them
who
in.
it would be.
Yeah. Just be like, I need to, you're everything.
Yeah.
And live, I think it's no secret. It's probably Will Tostito of the car seat headrest.
So Will Toledo.
Yeah, Will Toledo. I'll say his
Okay.
name correctly.
I'm
I'm out there. I'm coming, Will.
I think dead. I would have to say Bernie Mac.
Nice.
I think
Fucking love
like,
Bernie
like
Mac, dude.
I love the dude, and he is a person that was very big and had like so many connections, so it would make sense.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
alive, the first thing I thought of was Childish Gambino, Donald Glover. But then I'm like, I would want it to be something in line with my dream career. Nah, man, I don't even want to give anybody else. I'm gonna say Donald Glover.
I was gonna say Toledo's not in my dream career at all, but I just know that's the man. It's like I gotta get to him.
I think I'd want to follow
gotta get
Larry
to him.
David.
It's not about, but it's
I think it's
not,
Larry David.
Hold on,
No,
It's not
because-
but
But
not, it's
stalking?
not. Yeah, it's not about following and getting close to. Because Larry David, that'd be funny.
Yeah, no, but
Of
that's
course,
the,
I want to walk around.
but
and
no,
watch
but that's
that.
the thing is like I want to see what he would do, how he would react to me coming into his world and fucking things up. Like how
Get
would
your
he
own
react?
episode of
Yeah,
Curb.
no, like make a whole season's worth of material for him.
Call him. I'll call him. Didn't we do
No,
this
we
bit
can't call
on
him. We
the
gotta
fucking-
do it.
We just show up.
Yeah, we just gotta
start filming.
stalking him.
Larry, we're
making
it's
the
go
season.
time.
We're making
It's like what? Season 11 that you wrote. Cut this
get
out.
Jerry Seinfeld in on it.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, call us. We got an idea to fuck with Larry.
We
Jerry,
know you're listening.
Larry.
Jerry.
Jerry,
So
how's the peeping?
Larry David. How's the beat?
How's the peeping?
So you're
Love
going.
Phil- man, oh, Dad, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Fuck. Come on.
No, you just want to hang out with him.
I love. Yes, I do. And
That's-
Rupert wanted to hang out with Jared.
No, that's
just
not the
wanted
damn question.
just want to hang out with him. Yeah.
So are you just gonna go with Phil then?
Yeah.
Fine.
Philip Seymour Hoffman
Whatever.
and Larry David. Those would be the 2 people I'd stalk.
Fine. Okay.
Those are great.
I'm
people
definitely
to
gonna
stalk.
go with Bernie and Donald.
Stanley and Will. All dudes.
Okay, right on. When you said Bernie and
I don't wanna
Donald, I was
stalk no
like,
woman.
"Are we getting political
I know.
here?"
I literally I made a little face and I was like, I won't keep it to myself.
That's awesome.
no,
I'll
I
give it
heard
to
that.
myself.
I heard that shit. Okay,
Hilarious.
Anyway.
The good Bernie and Donald.
Yeah.
Well, the other good Bernie. Multiple good Bernies.
I
Fuck, man,
literally
he's
haven't
gonna
watched
lose.
anything recently other than one short film, but I don't know about you guys.
What was the short film?
It was I suppose that perfectly segues over to me talking about what I watched recently,
Yeah.
which was a short film, At Land.
One more time.
Atlantis.
At Land, and it was directed by Maya Deren, who was one of the founding surrealist filmmakers, essentially.
Mhm.
Founding's a weird word, but I guess it fits it's as far as a descriptor term. And I've only seen Meshes of the Afternoon, leading up to watching this, but I saw Meshes of the Afternoon for the first time a couple of years ago, and that film changed my life, almost insurmountably. It's a weird feeling. David Lynch is basically my favorite director, and I hold that still to this day, because I think that he was the director that really shifted my view on movies, and particularly my view on filmmaking specifically. I had no idea of Maya Deren's existence all through most of my time loving David Lynch's movies, and then coming to find this short film, Meshes of the Afternoon, only a little over 14 minutes long, and this movie encapsulates everything that guy ever tried to do ever over the span of like multiple movies, TV series, hours and hours and hours of content, and you could basically boil it all down to Meshes of the Afternoon. And it's weird, almost like being a child not knowing your grandparents exist and then meeting your grandparents years later.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
That's a very good
I'd
analogy.
agree with that statement outside of The Return, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. But that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah.
On the pot.
That'd be fun. But that would be a lot of watching beforehand to be prepared.
Maya Deren is an incredibly important filmmaker in the history of cinema, and all of her films, which are pretty much all short films. I believe she directed one documentary that comes close to feature length, but pretty much all shorts. And I thought Atland was longer than it was. It's only 15 minutes. It has similar vibes to, ironically, I wanted to mention this, that I was like, oh, Christopher Nolan, you fuck, because the opening of Atland is basically the opening of Inception.
Oh, nice.
Interesting how that works out, huh? But it had some Last Year at Marienbad vibes, some Alan Rene vibe, very surreal, very abstract, but all from 1945. If you've seen the movie, it's like staggering. I mean, Meshes of the Afternoon, even more, but this also, the way that she stages the shots to look so strange. Like, it looks like they're using effects, but like, I don't think they are. It's just the way that they've either slowed the image or the way that she's, contorting her body makes it look like there's an effect going on, when really it's just like they're shooting something and filming it, and that's it. That makes any sense.
I'm sure it would make more sense if we go watch it. Is it on YouTube or anything?
Well, Kino Lorber just released the Maya Deren collection, a Blu-ray restoration of pretty much all of her films. So you can go buy that on Amazon if you're interested in checking out the work of Maya Deren. Meshes of the Afternoon is on there.
Who? Kino Dormois?
Kino Lorber is the company.
And if you need convincing to go support her, both are on YouTube.
Yeah, that too.
Check them out and then pay money because her estate deserves it.
Yeah, but also to specifically shout out Meshes of the Afternoon, you have to find the version with the original score, because without that original score, I think the movie does lose a bit. I don't know, but that's the version I love. What about you, Frank? What have you watched?
I've been trying to watch more documentaries. I've watched like 4.
Yeah.
That's a lot for me. Like a lot, which I don't know why. I have nothing against documentaries. I just feel like I never watch them. I always say I'd rather read an article, and I don't know why that is, because docs are good. Anyway, it's on HBO. I Love You, Now Die is the name of the documentary. About that lady, what's her name? Michelle Carter. It takes place in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So that made me laugh every single time. But it is no laughing matter. She's a girl who's charged with forcing her boyfriend to kill himself, basically, or encouraging him to do that. And he does kill himself, and she has to go to trial. And it is crazy. It's a lot of wild shit and a lot of back and forth in morals and ethics and like what is the law, and like even in myself feeling like, oh fuck, I know exactly how I feel about this. And
That's
then
crazy.
Just more and more information. You're like, how can something be this complicated? Like literally, this is somehow a complicated situation. And it was strangely riveting. Or I was just like, it was like watching modern philosophy be born, and it was very intriguing. I wouldn't say it's like the best one of the best docs ever, because I think it's made a little manipulatively, which is a reason I think a lot of docs don't click for me. I think they're almost too biased or too trying to be a movie. When I sit down to watch a doc, I'd rather it be informational.
That's why I feel like OJ Made in America.
That's why that's great. Thin Blue Line. Or you have to go totally into emotionality, like Dear Zachary or Tower, which
so good,
which still have facts in them, but are more based off the emotion than anything.
Right.
And I think those hit because they're so personal.
Yeah.
But this one is very, very good. It's it might technically be a miniseries. It's like 2-hour episodes. Okay. It's a fucking movie. Watch it. Very good.
I'm definitely going to check it out now. Thank you for throwing it on my radar.
I have it queued up on HBO Go.
Go. Sponsor us. Brandon, what have you seen?
Recently, I watched this little comedy. It wasn't a double bill, was it? Or was it just really late in the night and it felt like it was a double bill? I thought we had watched something earlier in the day.
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind?
Yeah, we watched that.
Oh, yeah. The shitty reality.
Ashamedly.
This reality TV show that Jesse tried to get me into, and I won't say that I'm into.
It's hilarious, man. It's the funniest
crazy.
shit I've
That's
ever
not
seen.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about Love is Blind.
You'll
on air.
burn brain cells watching it if you don't look at it as like an existential dystopian
How did we
comedy.
get here kind of thing.
It's an existential dystopian comedy, man. I'm telling you. Like, that's the way you got to see it.
Or it's a Netflix original reality TV show. I saw
Probably a little bit of both.
I watched The Other Guys at like 2 a.m.
Hey.
with Jesse. It was
I watched most of it. I did not watch it.
it was so good. Like I was like recently quoting a lot of it at work with my coworker in the warehouse, and I was in the mood to see this film again.
We were quoting it a lot before Raging Bull as well.
Yeah, The Other Guys has been on the brain, so I'm going to have to give it the old college try of watching it again.
I might too.
So on a rewatch, it holds up so good.
That
Even parts that I didn't laugh at when I first saw it, I was cracking up at now. It's got quotes up the wazoo. I think Mark Wahlberg should only do comedies. It's where he excels.
He is weirdly good.
And
at
it's
that.
like
insane.
I think it's because you're not expecting to see someone who looks
I think
like
he's
him.
better than Farrell in this.
Dude, he kills it. Will
might
Ferrell's
be.
doing what
I'm
Will
a
Ferrell
peacock.
does.
You got to let me fly on this one.
I feel like this is Farrell a little askew from his normal bits.
He
Like
doesn't
he's a little more nerdy.
He's reining it in, and he
in the-
lets it out in spurts,
Yes.
and those are like his funniest parts, like the "put your foot on that gas pedal now," and then he just screams "America," and he slams on the gas, and then they acknowledge it. Did you scream "America"
No, I
before
did
you?
not.
He's like, "Yes," and then he's like, "I was a little aroused."
Listen, I think Adam McKay is a great director overall.
I
I think he's made.
I mean, he definitely makes more good than bad, especially as far as
I've never
comedy
seen
is
Vice.
concerned. Vice is
Can't
fine.
say the one with Dick Cheney.
There's some cringy stuff in
It's
it.
not.
I
It's
believe it.
it's supposed to be funny.
No,
I mean, to
Maybe?
a degree.
Half?
Yeah. It's like
Big,
Big
Short is amazing. I rewatched that.
I've heard Big Short is amazing.
I went up on it. I used to
I'll have
think
check it out
I
again.
used to disregard it. I think it's great, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the other guys.
Yeah.
It's great. It's got a lot of good quotes.
Aim for the bushes.
Is
Everybody-
that still the best part?
It's one of them.
It's one of them.
I love the initial confrontation. If I were a lion and you were a tuna, like I love that.
That is great.
That whole. I did my first desk pop. Also
Yeah, the
great.
desk
But
pop.
to me, my
the
favorite part.
TLC quotes, the Michael Keaton.
I don't get it. I
Don't
know
go
what you're
chasing
talking
waterfalls. Is that was that a coincidence, or did you mean to reference TLC on purpose? I
What
don't
are
know
you
the hell you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
And then eventually he's like, "What's the other one that he says?"
Don't get caught creeping. Oh, come on. No one says creeping like that unless you're quoting TLC.
And then there's one more. There's a
That's-
final one.
That's the oh fuck. No scrubs. No
Yeah,
scrubs.
I don't want no scrubs.
I don't want no scrubs. Okay, you're doing this on purpose.
Yeah, and then eventually he's dying. Michael Keaton is maybe the goat of that movie.
Kills
Actually,
it. He kills it. My favorite part, I think that it's so small, but the fact that it doesn't make any sense and it is just Will Ferrell being crazy is when Ava Mendes admits she's like, I'm pregnant. He goes, whose baby is it? Gators bitches better be wearing jimmies.
Go get his bitches. Better be using Jimmy's.
You better be using jimmies.
That part's great.
It's so quick, and then she kicks him out, and it's so funny.
You were a pimp. They gave me the name Gator.
No, I wasn't. I was a bodyguard. I protected these women on dates. So that's mine. Watch The Other Guys. You should have seen it by now.
The Other Guy's literally one of the best comedies of the last 10 years, I think.
Probably.
It's great. I literally had a period where I watched it again after I thought I still loved it and was like, oh, that was way worse than I remember. But then this time after watching most of it again, I'm like, nah, man, this movie still slaps. It's great.
I always thought it was pretty damn good. So watch all the movies we mentioned.
Email us at thechroniccanon@gmail.com if you're so inclined to recommend or suggest anything to us.
Follow us on Twitter. What's
at
our Twitter?
Chronic Canon.
Nice.
Tweet at us at Canon.
Listen to us on Spotify,
Yes, and we're working on getting more.
even though we probably have by this point.
Hey, it's fun.
So now
Yeah.
you know we have technical difficulties sometimes.
Yeah, we're
So-
figuring it out.
I'm excited we've said it many times, After Hours is next week.
Oh, it's one of my all-time faves. It was my favorite Scorsese for a minute.
Never seen it.
If
Don't
you
know what After Hours is.
Brandon doesn't even know what it's about.
That's great.
He asked at work, and I said, you know what? Just fucking watch it.
Yeah.
Just whatever. I think you can tell we're a little fatigued. I think this movie didn't spark us up to a level of excitement.
Yeah.
But I'm
Definitely didn't
And
spark the
maybe
bowl,
you're,
as it were.
hey, maybe y'all are feeling that same drag, and I promise After Hours is at least enough of a change up.
All right, you guys are talking high. I'm ready to
Even
see
if you
it.
don't love it, it's different.
Okay.
I can promise.
I just want that. I'm tired of Travis Bickle.
There's similarities, but it's
they're
still
not even in the same realm.
Yeah.
Because of the goal.
yeah.
I think that literally changes it.
I don't want to say it.
We'll
I'll
get
say
to it next week.
episode. All right, tune in, everybody. Watch again. Thank you again. If this is your first time listening, I'm Jesse.
I'm Frank.
I'm Brandon signing off. Good